guys, we're going to repair this Rovan D5 today. Seems to have had an accident. So anyways, my last video I was making, this thing did a end over end, sideways, diagonal, crazy roll and landed on the blacktop with all the force on this wheel here. So basically it pulled this pin out and it bent the back ear that pin goes into. So anyways, we're going to see if we can get it repaired today. We'll pull the body off. So we're going to attempt to take this apart and fix it. The main issue is this ear has been out right there. So let's see if we can get it apart. Okay, I've hopefully got my cameras in a halfway decent spot to do this. There's a little bit of gas left in this tank. I drained most of it. I have a pump. I could have pumped the rest of it out, but I didn't. So let's see what it's going to take to get this thing apart. I've never actually taken one of these units apart. It's the first time for everything. So one of the first things I want to do is probably just go ahead and flip this thing up here. You're not going to get a lot of good close-up shots. Off these bolts out here, and I can take this whole assembly loose as one big piece. First I need to see how it looks like the drive shaft just slides out of the front of this maybe. Get the boot slid back here and find out. I don't know if it's a dog bone or not. Appears to be different than a dog bone. So anyways, I pulled the boot back there. You can see it, the boot right here. And let me see if I can pull that out of the way. And this is where the drive shaft goes into the differential. So we got a front brace here. Let's see what the bolts in that are. Okay, so we've got these 4 bolts here, and it looks like 3 here. Wrong way, Jones. All this stuff one-handed here. This is machine thread. Another machine thread. Looks like to be, I don't know, 14mm long. Those are the same length. Looks like these are also the same. Now this portion of the frame does not appear to be bent at all. I put a straight edge on it, and if you put a straight edge on it, you can tell it's still perfectly straight. So, Set her back down on the counter here. Okay, so it looks like it. Brace in there. It was pretty far down. Must be this boat way down here to take out. Was the one. Let me sit back down here. Sorry guys, I'm not going to be able to get you many good close-ups. Okay, so now let's see if we can figure out how to drive shift. There's still something on the brace. Right on the earth. Come on. Should load it from the top side somewhere down here. Difficult. Just take this side bolts out. Get all the way that way. I'll take the tires off there. Off. I have the right wrenches, but I just don't feel like going and getting them. Okay, that broke loose. Okay. Let's put it on here all the way. For two lug nuts. This rear end does dog bone into the car there. It's catching, not laying out here. This front brace. That these are not broken. This is the one off of the left side. Here's our assembly here. And guess what? The piece that's bent is not part of the frame. It is a separate component. So that's a good thing for me. Alright. So you'll notice the bottom of the frame is the bottom of your differential case. And if you look at this, look at them nice steel. Rovan puts out good quality product. And look at the size and of that ring gear. Something to compare it to. Most people know how big these hexes are on drivers. It gives you something to compare to there for size. But I'm sure that piece, let's see here, my, isn't that pretty under all that grease? Okay, so this is the part we need to work on. Looks like there's no damage to the car frame whatsoever. That's a good thing. So now we're going to set him over here. Mr. Lane D5. And as bizarre as it is, those are Phillips heads. Why on earth, I don't know. And I don't know why they want longer. Try to keep that centered in the camera if I can. A little trick I use is I'll put down a couple pieces of tape here. That'll help me keep it centered up in the camera. So I know if I move it away from this area. So I put one on both ends and one about different ways there. That should do the trick. Alright, so here's our differential. I didn't need to take that boot off at all. And this is our problem child right here. And look at that, I'm taking it out with my fingers, so that wouldn't even tighten that plastic. And why they use these dinky screws in this part, I don't know. It looks like this runs all the way down to where you can put a really nice long screw in there. So, and the other screw apparently has fallen out somewhere along the line. That's it. Yeah, that's the one out the bottom. So, lost that screw together, which is no biggie. Probably what I'm going to do is first I'm going to check the depth of this, and I'm probably going to run a tap into that and find the longest. I don't know if an M6 will be too big. I'll probably put M4 14 or longer if I can find them. First thing I need to do is find out how deep that is. So here's a little dinky Allen fine small Allen wrench, and see how far down I'm going to go in that hole. So it looks like that hole is only this deep. So it's probably about, well, it takes an inch wide. So that's right at an inch, which would be 25 millimeters deep. And they used a screw that was half of that, half inch. Now, I'm not sure what is between here. If you look at the back side, how long these screws are. And I do want to check and see how tight they are out of curiosity. Which they are Phillips heads, which is kind of weird. Oh, that one's pretty tight. hard as it is to believe, I would have bet my life this piece was bent. But it's not even bent. So, as bad and severe as this crash was and looked, this is extremely minimal damage. Yeah, it's as flat as can be, guys. So I'm happy with that. So really our only issue that we need to contend with here is, oops, I gotta turn it the other way. Some bat wings going on there. Don't they look like a bat? Some kind of transformer machine. That is designed using plastic. Let's see what we got here. I don't think any of this stuff is nearly long enough. No. Another thing I use quite often is these drill taps. Great for plastic and aluminum. Can't use them on steel. Well, I guess you could try, but probably not gonna have very good luck with that. Okay, let's see how number 5 is. If that's gonna be too big. It's pretty big for that hole. So what I really guess I'm gonna go find is some 1-inch screws that resemble these ones that came out of it, and maybe go that route. Okay guys, I really wasn't able to find anything that was the exact length that I wanted. I found these that are way too long, and these that are a good bit longer. So I think we're going to go with these. So, and I think we need to put all of this together at once here. So these go in like in here. Phillips head screws. Yeah, those are, let's see how far they go in. If I can put them all the way in by hand, and they won't be adequate, I don't think. Okay, so we're going to set our drill to a real soft setting. Let's go 6. Okay, there she is. Good as new. I'm going to go ahead and hand tighten these. Do not ever tighten things with your, they're great for taking things apart, running stuff in and out, but when it comes to the tightening, hand tighten everything on these cars. Yeah, those are, that one's gripping really good. Let's see how this one is. I think those will hold up. Hopefully we won't have any more that particular kind of rollover. We're going to clean this thing up a little bit. Let's take a look at this transmission here, or differential rather. I want to get it full of dirt if I can help it. You would think they would have put a gasket over the whole thing. Come off with it. But I guess not. Okay, so this rag here. Kind of give everything else a clean and an inspection. I'll probably go over on every bolt on this before I remount it to the car. Well, yeah, I probably won't. I'll probably just stick it back on and then I can go through the bolts easier than I do it with it off the car and make sure they're snug. Because I want you to see me reassemble it. See how many times I cursed in that process. This one don't have rubber boots on the rear axles. But certainly have boots I can put on there. So really just to keep the dirt out of that ball. Unfortunately, I have to take it back to work to do that. But you know what? I didn't come on the factory, so I'm not going to worry about it. So since these are open, you definitely would not want to put any kind of grease or anything there that would just hold dirt in there, but it would do more damage by holding the dirt and dust in there than it would by doing any kind of lubrication. And you know, have thing to do later if I want to. Not gonna worry that much about it. Okay, so I think we'll go ahead and put this part back on. Well, actually I can't because this screws all the way through the other one. Yeah, I guess I can put it on the frame. So that way we can get her underneath where it's all done and out of the way. And I have gas in this, so I'm a little reluctant to turn it all the way over. Back out here. Back in here. This thing back underneath first. Sorry guys, one man camera. If I wish I had a cameraman. I wish I had any kind of person to help me do anything. I'm like an old hermit here all by myself. Count when I was taking these out. up here, get the drive shaft inserted. This part does have lubrication on it, so we definitely want to make sure this boot is on securely. Okay, so tricky part here is going to be getting the drive shaft in because there's no way to get my fingers in there. And it popped, went right in. Okay, so now, next thing I'm going to do is put this bolt through here. Right there. So this was much simpler than I thought it was going to be. This is cake. Take a little finagling to get that screw started. Yeah, let me get started. Not gonna be that easy. Okay, should do it. Okay, now gonna get our bottom 4 bolts in. They are lined up. I'm surprised. Wow, this could not have been any easier. By the time I say that, I'm going to get burnt. So I should shut up. Again, if these go in all the way by hand, you know, you want this stuff, especially when you're dealing with the plastic parts, you're kind of stiff going in. what somebody just said. And she probably did. Okay, again, I don't want my drill set too stout, so I'm going to set it on about 7 there. And then we'll hand tighten these as well. While we add most of the way, get everything's center back up. That was on camera, was it? Great. Okay, so as I put all these back in with the drill set on, light setting there, and then we're going to check them on my hand. I guess you could get real technical and use one of those little tiny torque wrenches. Since these are going into through a plastic, I don't think it's necessary to use Loctite at all on them. Alright, put our wheels back on. I'm telling you, this was so easy. I was not anticipating it being this easy. I'm very thankful. I'll give these a wash for what it's worth. All this stuff will be dirty 5 minutes after I run it again, so a few minutes after I run it again. Probably 1 minute after I run it again. Okay. Ooh, I cannot see the, yeah, I guess here on camera. Camera's on the car. Yeah, when you run on a rough surface, these shocks, there's a difference between tight, stiff, and loose on these. I'm going to set these things just where there's barely any spring pressure. I think shocks being too stiff contributed a lot to this repair that I've done, or the crash that I had, or however you want to look at it. This car don't have the lowest center of gravity anyways. I thought about doing some changing with these shock towers, and where you can see this car, the suspension is at a bit of an angle down this way. And it could run at an angle up if it had shorter shocks or I raised up the shock towers. But these are monster shocks on this thing. Absolute monster shocks. Wheel down, and you do want to occasionally rotate on these 4-wheel drives. rotate these tires from left to right. If you basically switch the two rears, switch the two fronts, you're pretty good there. You don't want to cross rotate because your wear usually on your back, even though it's four-wheel drive. There's more weight back here, I guess, and these tires get pulled up a little bit, and so usually be a lot more wear. So if you do change from front to back, make sure you put both front tires and both back tires switch front to back, and then rotate side to side if your tread starts looking like it's angled back a little bit. Okay, wheel back on here. Let me give this a quick wash. Hopefully it won't fall off the counter. This car here will probably, I don't know what it weighs in. I think the shipping weight is 47 pounds or something like that. And again, maybe this is the one that's right at 50. Can't remember if it's this one or the LT. We don't sell a lot of these higher end cars. I think a lot of guys are just fooling themselves though when they buy a 5V or something, and instead of going ahead and splurging for the D5. Because I sure do like the D5. I like the LTs too though, man. They're something else. We'll get a video of one running here in a day or two. Okay. Well, everything's pretty good except for, I don't know where this little nut here came from. It's come out of there somewhere in this process. I'm pretty sure it don't fit any of the bolts that I've taken out. No clue where that came from. Maybe it was stuck on this wrench when I pulled this wrench out of the box. Hopefully that's it. Yeah, that's it. Okay, so no worries. Okay, now we do have this one other bottom plate to put back on. These are the two screws left over out of the differential. So then in the toolbox, let's give this thing a quick bath. Guys, we are ready to run just like that after that horrible crash. Well, it wasn't horrible. Well, it was a pretty bad crash. Yep, easy peasy. I am very tickled with that. So this is my first time into a A5 rear end issue. Gas is okay, not to leak out there. This thing's back on here. In my one-arm bandit style. Hold the part, put it in the screw, same hand. There. Sure is handy having two hands though. Really handy having an extra set of hands to help the guy out. Actually, I don't even need the drill to run that in. These really don't hold anything, so anything critical. They did go in pretty. They went in pretty easy. I don't want to crank these real hard because I can tell they will strip out on me. So the way to help control your torque on a wrench is if I hold this out there on the very end, we get a whole lot more torque. So if I don't want to over tighten something, I get a hold of it up closer to the angle. Same thing with any wrench. If you want it tighter, you know, more length, more leverage. So you see where I'm. Okay. So I think we're good to go, guys. Like I said, I cannot believe how easy that was. True testament to Rovan, their durability, quality. And this thing took a pretty hard crash that would probably broke any RC. Maybe probably would have destroyed most of them. This basically, it came apart, you know, and you could make that area stronger, but something else is going to break. So that's good that it came apart where it did. So we don't want to strengthen that area up. So anyways, I got our shocks loosened up on the back. See how stiff these are on the front. I'll drop him down. Another setting. Try to get all my tools cleaned up. Cold at night, I don't even know what time it is. It's late in the night. I knew that. Okay. Boy, these are stiff to turn. She's dropping down. Oh yeah, wow. Anyways, we're going to go run the same course and see how many times we flip it this time. The shock's set at a much lighter setting. One thing you got to be careful on the front end is you get your toe in. As you drop this, that toe in, see that change as this goes up and down. The angle of this tire, you see it moving in and out on the top. So I'm not your toe in, your camber rather. So anyways, if that gets too much camber, it'll drive really squirrely. I think we're okay on this one. Yeah, I might have to go far, so I don't know if you can see that on camera. Okay, that's square, and we've got a pretty good gap. So I think you'll be able to see the green piece of paper here. So that's how much camber we have, and that's too much. So the way we'll fix that is we'll screw these out a little bit, and sometimes as you do that, you throw off your steering linkage. So you have to let that steering linkage out a little bit with it, depending on how far you go, because you camber out, and what will happen is then your toe end will go to a negative toe end. Alright. Yeah, I got a little front end adjustments to do. I think that's from the spark plug. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, that's about the only thing it could have done it. You also notice this don't have a top roll cage like the 5Ts and the LTs. So I guess the guy could add one to it. I'm really surprised that thing it hit hard enough on one of the rolls that it did that. And I know it did that before I had the major flip where it knocked the rear end apart. Alright, so we're going to put this on. Pop a couple clips in him. And Bob might be your uncle. Of course, it could be Jerry, John, Ralph, somebody else too. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to visit 5trc.com.